and the power of J-Skull.
Technical issues. Hey guys, how are you? Welcome to the power of J-Skull. My mouse just died right then, but there you go.
Yeah, blame it on the mouse. Blame it on the mouse.
Blame it on the
nothing to
mouse
do with
because
you.
I can't blame myself. I'm too awesome, Jason. Too awesome. You know what it is? I'm rattled because we have just finished watching season 3 of what I have. I know you've seen it before, of She-Ra and the Princess Power. I haven't been this stunned by a series of television in a very long time.
I believe the
This
technical term
impacted
is
me.
shooketh.
Shook it. Yeah.
Shooketh.
Well, I definitely was rattled. I definitely was pretty affected by this. This is a series of television that it's almost it equals any live action series that I've seen.
I would say
just in the terms of
surpasses.
writing, performances, it's an excellent series.
Season 3 of She-Ra is, in every sense of the word, outstanding. In every way, in every measure. Just when you think it can't get any better, it gets better, and then it becomes stunning, and you are just drawn into it. The first time I ever watched this series of episodes, I told you earlier, I sat in stunned silence afterwards thinking, this is a show for children. And I'm crying because it was so well done.
I was saying, I was in a message before with you, Jason, about my experience with it. I watched it in a 3-hour block or whatever, however long those 6 episodes were. And it was like a thrilling roller coaster ride for me. I was on the edge of my seat with intensity. I was fixated on the characters. I was emotional too.
Yes.
Like, I'm questioning, how can a middle-aged man be sitting here emotionally affected so profoundly by an animated series? But, mate, when a story is good, story is good. So
how could you not be affected by a story like this? I mean, it's got everything. It's got humor. It's got drama. It's got character development. It has one of the hugest finales I think I've ever seen. I mean, basically,
I almost think it has 2 finales in this film because it's in a way the end of episode 4. Episode 4, yeah. And that whole thing felt like a finale in its end. Yes. And then we get those 2 extra episodes. But look, it's a piece of art. This thing. I will argue this to any grown person who thinks I'm being foolish talking about animated series like that. But I can only say what it did to me. And what else made it a great series, Jason, was the fact that it strengthened our experience with season 1 and 2 because of all that time we had with those characters and the connections we made with them allowed us to leapfrog into this season and put them in the most horrific situations. So you're emotionally locked in to Glimmer, Bo, Adora, you name it. Scorpia, I mean, who's become one of my favorites, to be honest with you.
So flipping
and Catra and just the whole list of characters, wonderful. But you know what? Let's start breaking it down and let's have a look at each episode. So let's look at episode 1 synopsis. The Price of Power. Shadow Weaver appears in Bright Moon, refusing to speak to anyone but Adora as Catra awaits punishment. Entraptor pushes Hordak on the Portal Project. Now, we're into it straight away. And what an opening. All of a sudden, she's woken up with Shadow Weaver. Of all people, Shadow Weaver.
Yes. But it makes her bedroom. Adora.
Yeah.
Where's the bathroom?
Yeah. We quickly see that. By the way, MVP, the voice actress of Shadow Weaver in this episode.
Yeah.
She has a couple of big monologues that she has to get through, a lot of exposition. And man, delivers it with such impact.
Well, she was given such good lines, just cutting, hurtful things to say to people. And she just delights in delivering it. I mean, there are so many gifted voice actors in this series. Yeah. I mean, we could talk endlessly about every single one of them. I can't think of a single actor who's been in this series that has not brought it at some point or another.
Yeah. Yeah, and when you've got a script like the quality of those scripts that they must be just raptured in joy reading some of that material. Um, and especially what I thought I loved about Shadow Weaver's performance was the fact that she was still in control, but we as the audience knew that she was actually very vulnerable at that.
Yes.
Was doing her best to hide that from everybody. And I
Yes.
thought she balanced that so well, still being her authoritative, commanding presence. But we knew she was literally, this is her last shot at the dice here. And she's aware. And yeah, the big thing that came out from that, Jason, from that thing is we get to, Adora discovers a bit more about her past.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, she does.
Which kind of threw me a little bit in that episode because I'm like, oh, hang on a minute. She doesn't know that she was. Did she know she'd come from a portal at that point?
No. This was the first time she had learned that she was not born on Etheria, which we all know where she came from, but they couldn't say where she was from because of copyright and rights and things like that. But yeah.
I know that is the
other side of the portal.
And they do a great job of explaining it, but teasing us so much because you just want to hear them say, the closest we get is actually at the end of the series, I think, to a connection. But we'll talk about that at the end, that final shot.
Yes.
But yes, we've obviously spoken about this amazing character, Shadow Weaver.
Great character design, too. Even with the crack on the mask, I think it just adds so much character to her.
Yeah,
because her facade has been fractured, and it's great.
Yes, so it's also a physical manifestation of her emotional state too. Again, just brilliant stuff.
Yes.
Catra, I'd forgotten because we'd had a couple of weeks off. It was Christmas and that, and as I went in, I went, that's right. She's in the naughty list.
Yes, she did not. She's not in Hordak's good graces.
No, and she's basically being punished. So, but not for long, to thankfully entrapped her. Who's also wonderfully naive in this show, I think.
Yes, she really is.
Who really saves her, but with blind belief that, what we can do with Catra is we'll send her to, and I know I'm dipping into the second episode, the Crimson Waste, and she can get that first one's tech we want from there. Even though Hordak's like saying, mate, it's a fool's errand.
You know what I liked most about Catra this week was that she was sure she was going to die. So her filter just, boom, disappeared.
Yeah.
And she just tells Hordak exactly what she thinks, and she doesn't care. I'm going to die anyway. So I think you're an idiot. You're a fool. Yeah. And I just love that because here you have two characters basically in the same situation, Shadow Weaver and Catra, both being held captive, both of them facing their imminent demise. One of them pretends like she's in charge, but we know that she's not. One of them has no power, but you have the feeling like she's in charge.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's just such a great mirror. The student becomes the master in a sense.
Yeah, and it's just it's those delicious little touches that they're putting on these shows, just so good. The start of Adora's really journey, because this whole season is very much Adora's discovery. I think her coming to accept who she is. Do you think that's a fair explanation of her arc?
I would say that a journey of self-discovery would be a little more appropriate, because just whenever she thinks she knows who she is, everything changes on her. And you thought you knew who you were, but you're not.
Yeah.
And so she has to readjust. And she has so much trauma. You want to talk about a naive character. We talk about Entrapta, but let's talk about Lighthope for just a minute. Lighthope is simultaneously the most wise and stupid person on the show. Yeah. Wise in information, stupid in human interaction. And it's never malicious either. It's never malicious. It's never meant to be mean. It's just
a lack of understanding of the human
condition. Know how human works. Why don't you get this from your memory banks? I don't understand. And
which to me works perfectly for that character, and exactly what that character would be in that scenario. It's just a computer program, essentially.
Yes. A glitchy computer program as well.
Yeah. Yeah. The whole concept of sending him out, the belief that you've got to go to the Crimson Waste.
Yep, tracking
Like
a
that
signal.
Yeah. Like that there's something in the center of the Crimson Waste that's going to be the answer to their problems. So we've got the good guys going there for information and discovery. We've got the now Catcher on a quest to get that particular first one's tech.
I gotta applaud this show because you see a lot of series use MacGuffins to move characters along. This series uses MacGuffins so well. Every single MacGuffin is purposeful, and the journey to get there is always so meaningful. I just love that. And
Like the biggest
I'm never
MacGuffin
like,
of the
oh
whole
gosh, they've
series.
got to go to a desert to go get something now. I'm just like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen on the way there and what they will discover.
Tight writing too. 'Cause, I mean, at
Oh,
the end of the day,
absolutely.
yeah, the cynical part of us would generally sniff that out a mile away and go, oh, we're going to go for this beat because we're going to get to this point to get to this point. But essentially, no, you're locked in. You're like,
Oh,
what's going on?
absolutely.
Why are they going to the Crimson Waste? By the way, I've now renamed the Australian Outback as the Crimson Waste. Just letting you know because I love that name so much. And it looks pretty well like the Outback. So let's move into episode 2. Episode 2, Huntara. Oh, yes. The squad finds the Crimson Waste isn't uninhabited after all. Adora decides to trust Waste leader Huntara, and Hordak tells Entraptor about Horde Prime. The fact they went into Horde Prime.
Yes.
Awesome, dude. Like, this is the boy nerd in me just freaking out at that point. One of my favorite scenes in that whole episode is the fact that Hordak, and it is this episode, because I watched the whole thing, so I do apologize out there for kind of mixing it.
This season does have a tendency to kind of mesh together, so I think
it does.
it's
It
understandable.
does. So do forgive us, guys. But I do believe that scene with Hordak explaining that he is a failed clone.
Yes.
And you know what dawned on me in that moment, Jason? Holy shit. Every single character in the show is an outcast.
Absolutely.
That's a trauma of some kind.
Absolutely. If you will recall, whenever we first started the series, I said, and I quote, every single character in this series goes on a journey, even the ones you don't expect. Well, here's the beginning of Hordak's journey.
Yeah. Yeah. An excellent say. But there's lots of actually excellent stuff in this episode. And some of the funniest bits in this episode too. I had a few laugh out loud moments. That part I loved, which pays off again later in the episode or the next episode.
Yes.
Which I just love the idea of it. The introduction, when they go to basically a post-apocalyptic wasteland, and they go into and they find this bar, basically, Mos Eisley, perhaps.
Well,
they go into
like you said, it's Australia. It's post-apocalyptic, and there's a bar.
Yeah, and there's a bar, absolutely.
And everything's trying to kill you.
The beer's cold in there, I can guarantee. Yeah, anyway, I love that whole scene. And it's a very generic kind of scene that we've seen before. People going in, to a bar and it's dangerous and they're being threatened and all that, but still loved it. Loved the whole idea of it. But it was Huntara, the introduction of Huntara. I just loved her. I straight away, the fact that when she goes and talks to Glimmer, Bo, and Adora, there's this little moment, Jason, that they show Adora's reaction to Huntara. And again, another laugh out loud moment. We get this little where she's like, I don't know if she's in love with her or just in awe of her.
Maybe a little bit of both. Her. Who knows?
Who knows? Absolutely. But I just love her reaction. She's just locked into Huntara. Yeah.
And
hey, by the way,
you made a discovery about the voice of Huntara.
I was
yes.
proud to say that. I think that the message went, WTF, Gina Davis is the voice of Huntara?
Yes,
because it was
Gina
bugging
Davis.
me, dude. I'm watching
world-class Archer and Mensa member Gina Davis, star of Beetlejuice and The Long Kiss Goodnight. Gina Davis is Huntara.
wasn't she also up for the Olympics in archery at one point?
Oh yeah, she's a world-class archer.
Yeah,
World-class
this woman
archer,
is
genius level intellect. Gina Davis. Gina
can
Davis
do no
is.
wrong in my book.
I can't even compliment her other than just saying she's Gina Davis.
Yeah. Nah, and like I said, I was watching it. I'm going, I know that voice, man. I know that voice. And of course, I couldn't help. I had to have a look. And it's W2F, like Gina Davis is the voice. But straight away, just went like, oh, this, you know what? Because a smart woman like her saw the script and went, hell yes, I'm doing this.
Oh yeah.
Why wouldn't I do this show? But she is complex character, Huntara, as we realize.
She is, and she's so much fun.
Yeah, she is so much fun. You know, and you know, it seems like, you know, the good thing about her is she is unaware of She-Ra. Well, I didn't think She-Ra existed, just thought she was a concept, an idea. So I love that discovery that, no, she's actually a real manifestation. I love the discovery that Huntara was actually part of Prime, you know?
Yeah.
And she knew Adora was based on her fighting style.
Yep. I especially liked the part whenever they introduced Tongue Lashor.
And I do have a picture of Tongue Lashor
yes.
here.
And of course, Catra says what we're all thinking. Tongue Lashor? Tongue Lashor. Really?
It reminded me of that scene from Guardians of the Galaxy when Rocket is teasing Taserface about his name. And had that same
face.
It's all, that is the other thing about, and we're really kind of kicking into episode 3 with that. So yeah, why not? Let's just get into episode 3. Once upon a time in the Waste, Catra and Scorpia arrive in the Waste and have no trouble fitting in. Huntara and the squad enter Mara's ship to try to view her message. Big things going on in this episode, but I really wanted to get into the fact of Catra and Scorpia's experience in the Crimson Wasteland, because it's a nice little parallel to the good guys. Here they go in, Catra goes in, and it just starts owning fools in that bar, which I loved. You know, so
she has great leadership skills.
Absolutely, and especially the two sidekicks that she kind of like takes with her from the old gang along the journey to try to. Well, they're on the trail of trying to find the same building, but it's those two sides. She decides to call one of them Kyle?
Yes, she calls him Kyle because she needs someone to pick on.
Which is an insult. Poor Kyle.
Poor Kyle.
So you're basically calling him a loser. That's what you're calling him.
Well, yeah. Well, Kyle is a loser, but you know, you just feel bad for him. The poor little loser.
Feel bad for Kyle. I think we've all been Kyle and a little bit in our lives.
Justice for Kyle.
Justice for Kyle. Yes. But you know what's also beautiful about this particular third episode is I loved the Scorpia's performance in this. The fact that she's still dealing with an emotional attachment to an abusive friend.
Yes.
And that's the white elephant in the room. Scorpia keeps thinking that Catra's this pure of heart or someone that's special to her. Maybe not pure of heart, but there's a bond there. But Scorpia's blinded by the fact that Catra's not really interested in that. She's on a mission. She's on a focus, and she'll use anyone and anything to achieve that goal.
There's a line I think next season that Scorpia says. I'm not gonna spoil what it is, but it's a 4-word line that she says to Catra, and it just like it's like a stake through your heart when you hear it, and it's just like oh yeah.
There's moments like, you know what I mean, where Catra grabs Scorpion's claw. To lead her, and there's this look of just, you know what I mean, like
new friend.
That's right. The person that she's obsessed with is acknowledging her and wants to be friends with her, and it's a very beautiful moment. Mixed in, of course, with that what we just mentioned before, the clash with
high comedy.
Just brilliant. Oh, by the way, the payoff for that other joke earlier when the Frozen thing. is the four-armed little turtle dude. I couldn't remember his name.
I can't remember his name either.
Like getting frozen and making Kyle carry him everywhere. Which I thought was so good.
That's something else this series does so well, is it balances the comedy to the point that it breaks the tension, but at the same time it doesn't overpower and it's never annoying. And I just love it.
He's being carried and dragged along, and every now and again he makes that noise. Like, I don't know what he's saying, but I thought it was hilarious. And the way they get rid of tongue lash, I like with the whip. And there's this joke saying, "There's a whip, dear." What do you say after? Maybe you say, Scorpio goes, maybe you say whip. So she's trying to think of a thing to say.
Later, if you listen, whenever she's fighting, she goes, whip!
Whip! He actually does it, which was great.
There was this show called Final Space. You can't stream it anymore because HBO Max sucks. But there was a character who kind of did the same thing. Every time she hit somebody, she would go, punch! And every time it happened, it made me laugh.
Well, a high comedic scene with a very sinister end by capturing that one.
No,
because as much as it was clever the way they get him into, like, she don't care. Like, here's a whip. I'm going to drag Tongue Lasher out of I'm going to give him the impression. I'm going to drag him out. And with just pure delight on her face. That's how evil the animators were. She pulls that whip out. No, the toast. And the show reminds you of that every episode, that, hey, look, I know you're emotionally attached to Catra. We're all rooting for her as well. You can't deny the fact that she is purely selfish at the moment.
She's a bad person.
Drunk on power. You know, and it's powerful, like in that, you know what I mean? I struggled to conceptually understand it myself at 49. I don't know how. Well, maybe I'm just not giving kids credit enough at 10 that you're soaking all that in, you know, and processing it. It's just wow. Yeah, I mean, the episodes besides that, the other big thing out of this episode is the Mara hologram. I'll call it a hologram.
Yes.
Which does feel a bit stolen from episode 4 of Star Wars A New Hope.
It kind of does, yes. Yeah. But Star Wars stole from the Seven Samurai, so it's fine.
Yes. Everything steals from everything, which is totally cool.
There's nothing new under the sun.
No, there's nothing new under the sun.
Even Shakespeare stole his plays, so
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Now, the good thing about, I mean, I was shocked that we were even going down the Mara pathway. Well, I thought that was something that they wouldn't really touch on for a while. And I really like the fact that we get a bit of understanding what happened to her.
Yeah.
What really happened to Mara. So yeah. Sorry, I was just waving off my daughter. Hi, sweetie. She's home for lunch. See ya.
Oh, I'm sure mine will be walking in the door here in a little bit. She's going to open up my door and go, are we going to eat something? What you doing? Are you talking about cartoons again on the internet? Oh, my God. No.
Yeah, that's it. Well, either way, I like that scene quite a lot because we get to understand what Mara's background was and what actually happened with her. Because I think that's really essentially important for Dora's success long term, is to understanding the mistakes of the past and what happened in the past. So
I like that this series gives all of these moments the emotional gravity that they deserve.
Yeah.
And this one's definitely gravity. And like I said, this whole season, in my opinion, was perfect.
Yeah, so, I mean, we're literally halfway at this point through the season, and I still don't know where it's going. But I still don't know where it's going, which to me is the best compliment I could give it. Like,
Absolutely.
I'm just locked into the moments. You know, I'm not predicting anything at this point. So we're going to get on to 4, 5, and 6 in a minute, Jason. But, of course, as we do every week, we'll throw to a commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Gleaming in the morning light, home of She-Ra shining bright, Crystal Castle.
You put it together. She-Ra so separately, you can pretend.
Magic things shine everywhere, 'cause it has a secret power. Lifted high on her throne, She-Ra saves the world alone. The fate of the world safe in Crystal Castle, Princess of Power.
Crystal Castle comes with everything you see here. She-Ra dolls sold separately. New from Mattel.
Why is there a
Certainly
bed?
inspired by the Grayskull, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. A little bit of Grayskull, a little bit of Barbie Dreamhouse. I don't
Yeah.
know why there's a bed. Why didn't Grayskull have a bed? Where does the sorcerer sleep?
What's the
I
point
guess
of
in
the
that
elevator
room.
going to the roof?
Exactly. It's
Who
come
knows?
on, come on.
All right. You know what the shocker is, Jason? I spend hours sometimes a week trying to find commercials around the current series of She-Ra. There's nothing out there.
There's trailers from Netflix, and that's about it. And you
Yeah.
don't want to get into those trailers for the later seasons because they will spoil everything.
Ah.
So just don't do it.
All right. Now, episode 4. This is where it starts to go into overdrive, I think.
Absolutely. Oh my
Let's
goodness.
check it out. All right. The moment of truth. Huh, great name for the episode. Glimmer wants to make a raid on the Fright Zone, and her mother isn't willing to help. But Shadow Weaver is.
Bum, bum,
Adora
bum.
tries to talk to Entraptor. This is, I don't know, you know what? I am going to struggle here because I was so locked in for this last 3 episodes. It just felt like a movie to me. I could just watch the movie. So if I do swip things around from 4 and 5 and that, actually,
It's
no, I don't think I will be
understandable,
hitting
yes.
on 5. Yeah, but yeah. Either way, am I getting straight to this? I love this,
Yeah.
Jason. I love
I see
whole
Spinnerella and
idea-
Natasha nowhere to be seen.
nowhere to be
The
seen.
forgotten princesses. We still don't.
Yeah,
know
what
anything
happened to
about
them? They're on the
They're I don't know. They're
Somewhere.
trying to figure out why the elevator is in the castle. I don't know.
well,
What does it do? I don't know. I went up there and I was stuck because there's no button to get back down.
but I did love this idea. The idea of that Shadow Weaver could enhance Glimmer's power.
Yes.
And the fact that they everyone's telling her, don't believe Shadow Weaver. You can't trust her. Bo doesn't want to trust, don't trust her. But Glimmer makes the smart choice and does. And thank God she does do that. And with the fact of Shadow Weaver combining with Glimmer's power, able to teleport them to the middle of the Fright Zone. Is that in this episode?
Yes, it is.
Yes, sorry. Teleporting in the middle of the Fright Zone. I mean, that was, I thought, was really cool mechanism there to get the team into there. And I don't know about you, but I loved how, as we were going through the headquarters in the Fright Zone, we're losing characters along the way.
Yes. Their
Which I really
defenses
dug.
are being stripped down.
Exactly. To just the core characters to end up in that room. Yeah, wow. I mean, what can I say about that scene? You know, you've got Adora tied up, captured now at this point. And Catra just so blind to wanting to get revenge or to, you know, prove herself as being, you know, all powerful. It all comes to a dazzling, well, not dazzling, but I don't know how to explain it, Jason. Maybe you can explain it better.
Heart-stopping cliffhanger.
That's the perfect way to put it.
Heart-stopping.
That's
I'm gonna probably get dragged for this, but I'm gonna say it's right up there with Mr. Worf Fire.
Yeah.
Right up there.
Oh, absolutely.
If this had been the end,
Absolutely.
if this had been the end of the season, we would have been in suspense until Netflix released the next series.
Yeah. And you could have made a very solid argument to do that.
But then we would have missed the next two, and the next two are even better.
They are. Well, they are.
are.
But yeah, it's an episode that was just really a very simple kind of story, but so packed with emotion. I thought.
I was super surprised that this episode actually made Entrapta a little sinister. Because at one point, Adora says something to her about how the portal is going to change everything. And Entrapta's got her mask on that's just got the 2 red eyes.
Mm.
And the hair just boom around Adora. And Entrapta just comes up close to her. And I'm like, oh, crap, what's going to happen here? And that would be fascinating.
Fascinating.
Just-
That's right.
Yeah, Entrapta's got a bit of darkness in her right now. So was it already there? Or is it something that has kind of grown whenever she started associating with Hordak? And
I will say it's the latter. I believe it's the latter.
isn't it interesting how Entrapta and Hordak became friends? Isn't that interesting?
It's evidence to me why it is the latter, because Entrapta becomes emotionally, in fact, engaged with these characters. The fact that, and the first time that she sees a weak point in Hordak, the first time we get to see a weak point in Hordak, Entrapta's instinct is to help.
Yes.
She does. She builds that. Well, actually, I don't think I've got an image of it. I should have an image. I don't know why, though. But basically, Hordak is actually very weak
Yes.
at point, and this is where we get, a real get sense that he's a clone in a way, because he's really underneath his other suit.
He's Twink Hordak for a reason.
Yeah. But the suit she builds him, I think that's the moment that they then become. Hordak has a couple of great lines where he's trying to express that
your word.
I'm your friend.
Yeah, your word is adequate.
Whoever challenges you for not being, they are a fool.
Yes.
And Entrapta just sweetly goes, I like being your friend too. This is a sweet moment.
I especially liked the moment in this episode where Catra gets rid of Entrapta, basically, goes back to Hordak, and Hordak says, where is Entrapta? And Catra says, who do you think let the princesses in? And you just see Hordak, just for a moment, just crumble at what he thinks is a betrayal.
Yeah.
And it is, you almost feel bad for him. You really do. You sympathize with this horrible, you sympathize with this horrible dictator who has just had his heart broken by the only friend he's ever had in the world. And you just want to go, oh, Twink Hordak, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. I know, I know you're probably going to be smiling to yourself when I say the statement, but how the hell are they? Catra can't be she can't be redeemed. There's no way at this point in this series you can redeem this character. If they do it somehow, if there is some sort of redemption for that character, God knows how they're going to explain it, because at this point, Catra's in full evil mode.
Well, I won't say anything about what happens in the future, and I know I'm jumping a few episodes ahead, but I do think that last glance between Adora and Catra pretty much shows that Adora thinks the same thing right now, because she gives Catra the biggest go to hell look as she's leaving, and even Catra's taken aback, like, oh, I've really messed up now. Like, she's gonna put her fist through my skull next time she sees me.
Yes, 100%,
and righteously so.
Is that the look you're thinking about?
That's her coming out of the portal. So that's not the look. I think that's just the hero shot. But she gives Catra a look, and it is it is a brows down. I think Peter Capaldi said it best. The angry eyebrows came out. And Catra, you see fear in Catra's eyes, like, I done messed up.
But it's about pulling the lever, isn't it? It's all about pulling that lever. Yes, it is.
Pull the lever.
I honestly thought, something will happen right then to stop him from pulling the lever.
No.
If you can remember the first time you watched it, did you feel the same thing, or no, that lever's going?
I honestly thought Catra would hesitate, and that would give like Bo a chance to fire an arrow off or something. But nope, just boom. Dead.
And that's the cliffhanger. That's the cliffhanger. Shock.
Oh.
And so it is just like, at that point, it's like, where do they go now? What the hell's going to happen now? I mean,
and then the world exploded. The end.
The end.
The end.
Would have been the ballsiest series if
Dr. Sam Beckett never returned home.
Well, I was getting annoyed at how slow Netflix, which is actually the fastest streaming service to flip to the next episode. I want the next episode on my screen now. Wasn't disappointed. And here's episode 5. Remember, Force Captain Adora wakes up in the Fright Zone along her best friend Catra. She's convinced something's wrong, but only Scorpia seems to agree. What a mind-bending, memento-influenced
So great. So great.
kind of mystery, all wrapped up in one. It is the most intense episode, I think, out of it. This and the next one. The intensity level
these
is
two just kind of blend together, but yeah,
it's almost like one episode, isn't it?
Yeah.
And she wakes up, and the whole series hasn't really mattered because she's woken back up like she was at the beginning of the first episode of this series. Force captain, I believe, at that time, and also
Yes.
friends with Catra. You know,
Yes.
their connection is back to it.
Everything is perfect.
Everything is perfect.
Everything is awesome.
Not so, Jason, because things start to really strange things are happening. She starts to see that white glow, doors that were there, like suddenly disappear.
She glitches to other places in the front zone.
Yeah, she's teleporting. How do we get here? Oh, there was a great sequence with Catra where they go to the top of the tower, and literally she's there in an instant. Which, if you were just doing a normal cut in the show, you go, okay, you assume they climbed up there. But nah, she's glitching to these moments. And do you imagine being in that situation? How terrifying and mentally fracturing that would be.
That would put you so off. It would just, rock your world. Just like, oh my God.
In a psychosis.
Exactly.
But Adora, being as brilliant as Adora is smart enough to recognize there's something bigger at play here. And of course, her memories are starting to jog. She's starting to see flashbacks of this reality that in her current situation, she does not recognize. She doesn't know, so she's getting flashes of this glimmer and a bow, and should mean nothing to her at this point, but it's disturbing her quite a bit. But it was, essentially, it's Scorpia is the only other one in most of this episode.
I can't put my claw on it, but I don't like you.
It's just so awesome. When they're doing the briefing, I love that. I don't know what it is. And the thing is, what's wonderful about Scorpia, she's kind of polite when she's insulting people. It's not said maliciously.
No, she's so wholesome. And I think I said it last week. It's so strange to have one of the bad guys be the single most wholesome person on the entire show.
Yes, absolutely. But what a great episode, because we're just going along. She connects with Scorpia. They recognize that this reality is changing around, but it's not only changing, it's elements are disappearing.
Yeah.
This white wall of whatever that is.
The Crisis on Infinite Earth thing.
That's probably a good way to explain it.
That's what it reminded me of. It reminded me of Crisis on Infinite Earths, the comic book series where the white antimatter was destroying the worlds, and and that's basically what's happening here. It's erasing everything. Yeah.
But we go back to one of my faves from the first season that we didn't go back and see. Raz is back.
Yes.
Raz is back.
They use Raz so sparingly in the show, but every scene she's in is just so wonderful.
She's integral to this whole next two episodes.
Yes.
It's without Raz, game over, Jason.
Absolutely.
Game over. Adora doesn't get to where she needs to be. The guidance isn't there. It's done. Done.
Now, she could have told her just straight terms, you need to go here. But no, she gives her a little riddle, and, because that's how people like Raz do. It's fine.
Yeah. It's, she's you know how actors sometimes do Stanislavski? She's decided to focus on Yoda. So
absolutely. I have no idea what you mean.
Yeah, Stanislavski, that
No, I know Stanislavski, yes.
I was going to say, how do you not know Stanislavski? But anyway.
I'm a theater major. Of course I know Stanislavski. I had it once and it gave me a stomachache for a week.
I had to learn to get over myself, I suppose. Now, my favorite bit, by far in this episode, Jason, just because, I like creepy things, is the fact that, by the way, before I should really set this up before I get to it, that moment of Catra fighting with Adora, the emotionality of that moment in the woods. How powerful was that?
Incredibly so.
Incredibly so. And they're
Incredibly so.
fighting, and you never think for a second. And the way Catra's all in. She would do this to die. She has got nothing to lose and everything to gain. And it makes her more threatening and frightening than ever before.
You know,
And in this
honestly,
scene-
from here on out, it's like every Catra and Adora confrontation comes with this emotional weight that you haven't seen before. And
Right.
and you see it in the next confrontation between them, which is just like a pants poopingly
You know, it's a
horrifying
shame.
confrontation.
I'm ashamed this series was made after the prequels, because if you want to look at an emotional impact of battles together, Obi-Wan and Anakin could have served a lot better if they had followed some of the
Oh, absolutely.
emotional beats that they did in this series.
Absolutely. And I'm speaking to somebody who really enjoyed Anakin and Obi-Wan's fight in episode 3. I thought it was emotionally weighted, but this, I mean, Catra and Adora, just there's such a connection and such history between them that you feel it. Every confrontation, you feel it. And
Every
it's
swipe of Catra's claws, you know?
it's so different from here on out. It really is. There's this whole new level of just loathing, almost like, because there's always been this affection between them, but it's gone after this.
Catra has, I think Catra has so much hatred for Adora at this moment that she literally goes to kill herself, delete herself, rather than let Adora win that battle.
Yep.
And rather than allow to Adora to save her, she lets go of that cliff. And not for a second did I think it was it. Honestly, no way. That is not. No. We're going to get back. But the thing that I'm leading up to, coolest addition to Catra ever, man.
Yes.
Yeah,
Corrupted program Tron Catra.
Oh, man.
I must delete the user.
You know, it's like you've taken a great villain and then you've just, I don't know, made them just covered in spikes, or they look at someone and they explode.
Upgrade.
Yeah, like you're truly trying to stop a villain who is, you know, one of the most skilled fighters, smart tactician, a strategist, all that thing. And now you give her an upgrade.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
Yep.
It looks so cool.
Make her horrifying looking.
Oh, and I just love the look of it. I love the art style of it. I just thought it was really, really cool. So
it is super cool.
A great episode. Great episode. By the way, before we go into episode 6, as I was talking about upgrade with Catra, the only thing I will say with this season, I really want to see behind Shadow Weaver's mask. I want that shot. I know we've seen glimpses of it, but I really want to see her face.
It's coming. It's coming.
Ooh. Here we go. Episode 6. We've just done the penultimate episode, the finale. The portal. King Micah and Queen Angelella are shocked by Adora's story. With time to restore reality running out, Adora turns to Bo and Glimmer for help. Now, Jason, you could have really done me a solid here and told me to have some tissues handy in this episode.
I could have, yes. But my suffering must be your suffering.
Fair call. I can't argue that. But holy moly. And the emotionality hit straight away because WTF.
Yeah. Everything was not just perfect for Adora. It was perfect for her friends as well. And here she is to take a giant dump into their SpaghettiOs.
That's the emotionally conflicting here. Adora has to do this. She has to go to Bright Moon, right? That's the target here. But at the same time, you know, the moment she saw King Micah, she knew if she is to succeed, ultimately, she knows at that point, and we'll get into a little bit later, that he doesn't belong here. Does not belong there. So, you know, she has to take, essentially, Glimmer's father away from her, which meaning she has to go for that trauma twice.
Yeah.
It's a horrible thing to go through.
It is. It's a terrible choice.
Oh, Glimmer in this episode is just dealt the worst hand.
She is.
You know, in the
Yes.
fact that the trauma that she now faces, losing her father, and then as we go on, you know, and you know, I was wondering how the hell do you sell this? Like, how do you explain what happens? And I love basically the truth of Lasso, but in effect, the spell, the
Yeah,
truth spell. I love the little description where she just blurts it all out. What has happened?
Basically, I
what she
turned
needs
into an
to do.
8-foot tall glowing strong woman.
It's pretty great.
I love it whenever the show makes fun of its own premise. I just think
it's
wonderful,
really great.
Wonderful. So it's self-aware without being annoying.
No, that's right. And you know, the Queen really. My only thing with that character, I felt at this point when I'm watching the episode is, when are you going to listen, man? When are you going to listen and trust? You know, and that's how I felt. And I had to remind myself, no. We've just set the clock back. This is a different reality. We can't expect the Queen to have no knowledge of everything that had happened up to this point. So we're looking at a Queen right back from the early on from season 1. Because I was watching it, when are you going to learn? When are you going to learn? But you know, it's the old Queen, basically.
Yeah.
They do convince them that something's got to happen, though. And the fact that you can't avoid this giant wall of reality disappearing, can you? Sooner or later, you're going to have to deal with it, right?
Yeah. Oh,
So,
Angela
yeah.
definitely had some amazing scenes this episode.
Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about that in the end. And I don't have an image of that, so we'll talk about it certainly. I just mentioned Bo here. How much I love this version of Bo.
Oh,
He's basically just a librarian.
I loved whenever he realized that reality was wrong. The first thing he did was grab his. he grabbed the clothing around his midriff, and he's just like, "This is wrong."
God, Bo, he's got some zingers in this season.
Oh, he
too.
does.
He really does.
He's another one of those characters who I thought was just going to be annoying, and he never is. It's just everything he says is just so wonderful.
I cannot accept or recognize the other Bo from the 80 series anymore. Because it's so generic and such a
Step back, She-Ra. I'm going to shoot it with a bow. Oh no, I've been frozen by a beam again.
Yeah, exactly. This Bo, man, it's all it's just wonderful. But let's get to it. I don't know why I couldn't find a picture of that moment, but just to shortcut it, we see. Oh my God, my heart! I may even get emotional now talking about it again. We quickly realized the only way to stop this is the sword is at the center of this occurrence. And the only way to stop it is to remove that sword. That's the premise here. That's what's at the center. And again, brilliant writing because the sword is always central in the plot somehow.
Yes.
You talk about MacGuffins earlier. I mean, there is no better MacGuffin than that sword. And you know, I don't understand this, Jason, because this is where I was getting like a bit emotional upset. It's like, why didn't she just grab Adora with her and go do it? Maybe they would have had a chance of surviving. But
Perhaps,
no,
or maybe they both would have been taken. Maybe that's what she was
probably
thinking.
what the Queen was thinking as she flies up
After
to the
that,
center of this floating rock.
after that speech where she says, "I'm a coward."
Oh, dude, that's
heartbreaking.
That's when I started
Heartbreaking.
getting really emotional. That kind of bravery. She wasn't a coward in that moment, though. The fact that she recognized and said that she was a coward actually was the flip side. She was the bravest person there at that point in time. And yes, like that flight, I'm crying at this point. She flying because I know what's going to happen.
Yes.
And I'm going, no fucking way. Excuse the language, sorry. I'm Australian. What do you expect? No way.
Y'all are pretty horrible.
Yeah. There's only 3 words in the English language besides swear words that we can actually say.
Yes.
But I'm really emotional at this point because I'm going, no way, man. You're not going to do this. You're not going to do this. You can't do this. There's issues between Glimmer that they haven't resolved yet. There's just so much we can do. Oh, man, she makes that sacrifice. sacrifice. And it
Hey,
is like,
you know what? Not
powerful.
everybody gets to resolve their issues, and that is the saddest thing. And that's something that I respected about this show is that there was no big scene between Glimmer and Angela. They actually left each other on a rather sour note. And that is something that Glimmer is going to be carrying with her as we go into next season. Because
That's great to hear. It's great to
you-
hear because
you
it
know-
is very
you know that,
unresolved, dude.
well, because Glimmer's getting a promotion next season.
Okay. Well, I assume so. There's been
Well,
change in the
'cause-
roster.
well, what usually happens to princesses whenever the queen dies?
Right. Of course, that's
Yeah.
logical.
Yeah,
That's logical. And she is the next in line. So
she is. Yes, and it
Um,
made me think though, where are the rest of these princesses' parents?
I don't know, man.
Why-
They'll probably
Yeah, I know.
they're
I
probably
know
all
that
retired
Mermista-
to Florida.
Well,
I
Mermista
don't
said,
know.
"Yeah, my dad used to look after the Seagate, and then he retired. Then why aren't you the queen?" I'm just
'Cause they're
wondering.
both still alive in a retirement
Yeah.
home somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
It's like a queen mother thing.
If the queen or king steps down, that means the princess becomes the queen. Come on. I know it's
Come
like,
on.
well, girls like princesses. I would rather, I don't know, Queen Mermista sounds like more exciting than Princess
You said-
Mermista. I
You
don't know.
sound like you're one of those people who'd be whispering. What's that guy from Game of Thrones? It was always whispering in the king's ear or something.
Doesn't King? I don't remember any of the characters.
Yeah,
from
the
Game of
aide to
Thrones.
the whoever, but you're the one kind of putting the fairies.
You're the hand of the king. You have the power.
Exactly.
Until you don't, whenever we have a plot twist.
Wonderful. But the things about this episode, of course, that emotionality of it is then doubled down when they have the victory and they're all back together.
Yes. Oh,
And
those are
Adora
the-
comes back and there's this joy in this sense of we did it. And then
Yeah, I have to find my
mention-
mom or I'm going to be grounded for a week.
Oh my
Well, the
God.
good
And
news
Adora-
is you're not going to be grounded.
And Adora does what you would do normally. I don't know. I would do the same thing. I'd just go up and hug her
Yeah.
and just say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And the weight of that and the fact that that was all it said. But everyone knows what's going on. Oh,
Yeah.
man, what a powerfully tragic moment that just had to be. There is no other way around it.
This
had to be.
episode, this entire season is the highlight of this series. And I don't want to
Yeah.
say that the rest of the series is like a step down, but this is the pinnacle right here. This was the masterpiece. And there
Yeah.
is definitely a lot more to come that is amazing and great.
Ah,
This series never hits a lull, in my opinion. But
And
this
do a little bit of a
this is
setup
the
of that.
masterpiece. Yeah, this
we
is
do
the
get a little bit of a
masterpiece.
setup of that. And I think that's because not only by the end of this episode, you're like, oh my God, the Queen's dead. They've done it. Everything's kind of changed. Oh, where do we leave Catra at this moment?
She knows that Adora hates her guts now.
Yeah, that's Queen.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't quite remember exactly where Catra was, but it's the next two shots at the end of this that I'm like, oh wow, they're gonna do this. They're really gonna do this. They're
Oh,
just
yeah.
talking about it. They're gonna do it. And then as soon as we see here, and I go, no way, is that who I think it is?
It's the
Oh yeah,
Emperor.
it's exactly who we think it is. It's
And there's the
Lord Prime.
Klingon moon of Praxis.
Actually, pretty damn close. Yeah, good time to plug our Star Trek Captain's Quadrant show. which
Absolutely,
happens every Thursday
absolutely.
night. Check
If
that
you
out.
have not
It's
seen
great.
our interview with Sean Ferrick, please do. It's rather
Yeah,
nice.
Sean Ferrick. Yeah, absolutely wonderful. What a gentleman and a scholar. It was a great.
Absolutely.
interview. Yeah, thank God he did most of the talking though, because otherwise.
Yes, I know. Whatever keeps my mouth shut, that's probably best.
Either way, I can't have any more. I don't think there is a word to describe how much this show was so completely satisfying as a viewer to watch some content. It did everything right. Now, I know I keep saying, geez, it better have won a lot of Emmys and whatever. I just hope whatever award that this show could have gotten, the fact that whether it got it or not, I don't know, but it deserved everything.
I know it was nominated and won a lot of GLAAD awards for some reason that I just can't put my finger
great.
on.
and that's wonderful, and that's great. But if it was kept to that, I'd be quite disappointed, because I think the show not only is great about representation, it then takes it to the level up.
Yeah, it's just a great show, period.
Because it's not a show I feel like is, this is targeted to a community. I feel like the show's for me as much as it is for anybody from any walk of life. I think the messaging has been really pure and powerful, like I said, with great representation. But I don't know. I can't imagine anyone not being able to connect to it on a personal level somehow. We've all had problems in our lives. We've all had situations, difficulties with friends. They're touching a lot of this stuff. So, GLAAD Awards, amazing.
Who has not had a toxic friend or a toxic family member?
Yes.
Who everybody has had their own Catra, who you love, but at the same time, know they're not good for you.
Yeah, 100%. So, but yeah, no, absolutely wonderful, Jason. Thank you so much for introducing me to the show. I enjoyed it from get-go, but this has been... I really want to say some really big statements about where this sits in the pantheon of my enjoyment, and it's up there with some of the greatest things I've ever seen on television. And I say that with no... extra oomph on it or anything else like that. I genuinely believe toe to toe with some of the content that I have seen over the years on television, this hits it there. I'm right there with you. Yeah. This is next level, high concept, extremely satisfying, as you said. Yeah.
This is the best of the best.
Okay, I have not seen this, all right? And this is going to shock you, all right? And I'm going to lose complete credibility on the internet here. I have never seen Avatar: The Last Airbender. Yeah, I've never seen it. All right, and there's opportunity. There's opportunity for us to go down that pathway one day. But I'm aware that seems to be the one that most people have seen it put up in the pantheon of probably the greatest animated series. How does it compare to something like that?
I'm probably going to be crucified for saying this. I actually think She-Ra's better. And do not get me wrong, Avatar: The Last Airbender is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
It is an absolute masterpiece, because Avatar, it conjures up the same emotions. You laugh, you cry, you get attached to characters both on the good side and the bad side. It's a conflict that grows beyond good and evil at one point, and it's all engrossing and all encompassing. But I actually think She-Ra and the Princesses of Power is a tad bit better.
Wow, that's great. I trust your judgment empirically. We have very similar tastes in film and stuff like that.
But you should watch Avatar: The Last Airbender as soon as possible, because it is amazing. Yes, it's amazing. Yeah. And The Legend of Korra as well, because listen, they're getting ready to introduce a new Avatar series soon. And
so it'd be a good time to jump on?
Yes. So
as
soon as we're done, get on it.
Get on it. All right. My wife, that thing, that special date night we're going to have? Forget it, lady. Forget it. I'm watching it. Avatar. Just let your wife know.
Hey, you know what? They call it Netflix and chill.
I would never have the balls to
They call it Netflix and chill for a reason. So Netflix, Avatar, and chill.
And chill. Yeah, okay, let's move on from that. Look, next show that we do in 2 weeks, because remember we now do this fortnightly, season 4. I'm getting so nervous I'm losing my glasses. Season 4. Give me just a little snippet what to expect, like in a very general term, Jace.
General term, you are about to meet probably the most entertaining character on the show.
Awesome.
Because they haven't been introduced yet.
Okay.
And you will know them when you see them.
Okay.
And you notice
I have seen the first 10 seconds of season 4. First 10 seconds.
Yes.
I know Glimmer has a new haircut. That's all I know.
Yes, Glimmer. And what I think is really neat is if you watch the title sequences from here on out, they change.
Really?
The title sequences change because
now I can't skip them.
Yeah, this is one of those situations where the events in the show affect the title sequence. And it's just a lot of fun just to see all these subtle changes that pop up.
Oh, awesome. Look forward to that. And that'll be in 2 weeks. We'll be getting to now.
Yes.
Season 4 is
Season
like a 13
4,
episode
It's
season.
13 episodes. So,
There's a good midpoint here.
I would say probably episode 6 or 7.
All right.
Well,
there you go, guys. We'll be doing
let's do episode 6. Let's go from
1 to 6.
Let's go from the coronation to episode 6, Princess Scorpia.
What?
Princess Scorpia.
Oh.
Well, we already know Scorpia is a princess.
Yeah.
She
But
told
it feels
us.
like, but you know me, I love her. So if we're getting a Scorpia-centric episode, I'm in wholly in.
Absolutely. We get a lot more Scorpia, and Scorpia kind of comes into her own in the next couple.
Fantastic.
Of seasons.
Now, Jason, before we go, normally it's time we got our segment of our Skeletor. Now, it's been on leave for a bit, so I don't really have any questions for Skeletor, but I'm still going to kick you off, Jason, because we've got a contract. I mean, it's worth at least just touching base with him and saying hello. So it's time for again, and I'll see you on the flip side, Jason.
Okay. Okay.
Well, we're going to leave it as is, mate. Say bye to the folks. Jason, you're gone for the rest of the show, and they'll see you next time.
Yes.
Right.
I will see you next time, and we will be next week on the VHS Vault watching Ator the Fighting Eagle. Ator the Fighting Eagle, and I know everyone
Even
at home
better,
is going.
folks,
Oh yes.
we're having a live watch party of this movie because it's on YouTube and it's free.
Yeah.
So on a Friday night, and there will be details to come up. American time, I think about 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, perhaps. We will be watching Ator the Fighting Eagle together. None of us have ever seen it, but we're excited and we're pumped.
It won 7 Academy Awards. It made $500 billion at the box office.
James Cameron is jealous.
Yes, and everything I just said is true.
All right, Jace. We'll see you next week. Thanks for being on it.
Okay.
And it's time now for Dear Skeletor. Skeletor, Evil Papa, how are you, buddy? Happy New Year.
Who the hell are you?
We've already been through this. We filmed a couple of shows together, Skeletor. I'm not going through this every single time.
It's you.
Yeah, it's me.
VD Chase or something.
Yes. Skeletor, look, I want to start the new year on a positive because I know, like last year,
I don't want to start it on a positive note. I want to start it on an evil note.
All right. Look, whatever. I don't have any questions for you this week, Skeletor. So I'm just going to ask you about what did you do
just
for
told
New
me you
Year's?
don't have any questions for me, and now you're going to ask me something.
I'm just trying to.
This
connect
is why
with you,
no one
Skeletor,
likes
man.
you.
We're going to work together this year. Let's try and get along a little bit. All right, let me ask you this: how did you spend New Year's? What did you do?
That's a very interesting question. Why does my finger smell that way? Anyway, yes, we do have an annual tradition here on Snake Mountain. Myself and Evil Lynn, we put on a tuxedo and a dress, and I look amazing in a dress. And we go stand in front of the giant mountain that looks like a snake. Wait, is that why it's called Snake Mountain? I just got that. Oh, I feel so silly. Anyway, we stand in front of Snake Mountain, and as the clock counts down to midnight, we watch the ball drop.
Okay.
And then next year, we cut off the other one. It's okay. It's too bad. He has 4 of them. We're good until 2029. They grow back like grapes.
All right. In saying that, I'm glad you had a great night. It feels like a few of the henchmen didn't have a great night.
Oh, who cares?
Yeah. What are you? Okay, what are your New Year's resolutions then, Skeletor, for this year? Like, what are
Well,
you hoping to achieve?
Oh, my New Year's resolution is that I'm going to give up being a master for good. And I will
What?
only be a master for evil.
Ah, that's good.
Laugh with
That's
me.
Ha 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 ha! Yeah, yeah.
And I feel like you're being patronizing, but okay.
yeah, pretty much.
Also, I want to lose a little bit of weight because I think that I'm getting puffy in the face.
Yeah, a little. Yeah, I can. We're all doing that
Little.
kind of thing.
I have a double
I
chin.
think it's interesting though that you've not mentioned maybe beating He-Man this year might not be on the agenda, or
Who?
actually pulling off a plan that works for a change might not be on the agenda this year.
I don't think of He-Man every single moment. I'm not the one making a podcast about a muscle-bound moron. Not all of our lives revolve around that muscle-bound idiot who walks around in a loincloth. Why do you have a loincloth? That's disgusting. Put on some underoos like a normal person.
Well, the fact of the matter is you've had your ass handed to you on multiple occasions with a guy wearing a pair of furry underpants. That's the reality, Skeletor.
Have you ever fought a man with a magical sword before?
No.
Okay, then we can move on. As soon as you get off your wide behind and take on a man with a magically imbued sword who has a twin sister who shows up whenever I finally beat him and says, "Oh, now you have to fight me." Yes, then you can say something to me. Until then, shut your mouth.
Thank you, Skeletor, as always, for appearing on our show. I'm contractually obliged to say it's an honor and a privilege. We'll see you next week. We'll have some questions on the next episode, Skeletor. But guess what? This week is a bonus.
I thought you were watching Big Bird the Flying Eagle or something next week.
Oh, we are, and then the week after we'll do. It'll work itself out, Skeletor. Feel free to if you ever want to jump on our 80s show called the VHS Vault, where we go back and look at awesome nostalgic films. You're always welcome on that show.
Is it evil?
Some of the movies we're going to watch are evil for the reason you wouldn't be thinking. So, yeah, either way, you get the opportunity with me this week, Skeletor, to sign off for the show, and we get to say goodbye to people. So I'm going to let you take it. Can you sign off for us on this week's show, please, Skeletor?
Of course. Ladies and gentlemen, you will all bow to me. All of you will be destroyed.